our story today? Today, we're going to be reading Growing Frogs. What do you see on the cover of our book? Well, of course, we see a frog. And we see a girl looking at the frog. What are these funny things here? They look kind of like fish, right? I wonder why they would be on the cover of our book right here. And we're learning about frogs. We'll find out. This story is written by Vivian French. She's the author. And it's illustrated by Allison Bartlett. She made the pictures. She's the illustrator. Let's see what happens in our story called Growing Frogs. Boing, there's a frog. There's some information here. It looks like an important note. Let's see what it says. Frogs are in danger. Please help. They're in danger? Rules for frog lovers. Don't ever take frog spawn from a pond in the wild. You should only take frog spawn from a man-made pond and only take a little. Always take your frogs back to the pond they came from. So this important information is telling us that if we find something that lives in the wild, we should leave it in the wild. We should never, ever keep it because they have to stay in their natural home. That's very good advice. If they don't stay in their natural home called their habitat, they can die. Growing Frogs by Vivian French, illustrated by Allison Bartlett, published by Candlewick Press. Oh, look at all those frogs. Once, when I was little, my mom read me a story about a frog that grew bigger and bigger and bigger. Look at her face, she looks scared. Afterwards, Mom asked me if I'd like to watch some real frogs growing. I know where there's a pond with lots of frog eggs in it, she said. We could bring some home. I was frightened. I don't want any frogs jumping around getting bigger and bigger and bigger, I said. But Mom gave me a hug. It's only a story, she said. Even when our frogs are grown up, they'll still be smaller than my hand. Oh, I said. Okay. How did her mom make her feel better about that? She gave her a hug, right? And told her it was just a story. The next day, we went to look at the pond. The water was dark brown and there was gray jelly stuff floating on the top. Yuck, I said. Jelly with dots in it. What is that gooey stuff? She says, yuck. That's the frog spawn, said Mom, and she pointed to the gray jelly stuff. I bet that was laid last Friday night. Mom keeps saying it's frog spawn. What does that mean? Frog spawn means frog eggs. They lay their eggs in a jelly stuff. The frogs were croaking so loudly I couldn't get to sleep. The male frogs, or the boy frogs, croak to attract the female frogs for mating. Mating occurs when the male frog covers the female's egg with his sperm, and the tadpole will only grow if an egg joins with the sperm. This joining is called fertilization. So the mom and the dad frog put that there. How do you think the girl is going to grow it? You see the black dot in the middle of each jelly shell, said Mom? That's going to grow into a tadpole. What's tadpole, guys? Can't wait to find out. Where are the frogs, I asked. Tadpoles grow into frogs, she said. Little ones, no giant frogs here. Her mom said that these eggs are going to grow tadpoles and tadpoles turn into frogs. Cool. Mom put some pondweed and some stones into a bag. She filled a bucket with pond water. Then I scooped a little of the frog spawn into it. Always use pond water for growing frogs at home. Tap water, that means water from your sink, has chemicals like fluoride in it that might poison the frogs. Fluoride, and sometimes there's other chemicals in there. This is not good for the frogs. They need to have their pond water. When we got home, we put everything into a big fish tank in the kitchen. The cat kept peering at it. Peering means he was looking at it. So we had to put a wire net over the top. The cat was looking at it and they had to cover it. That means the cat probably wanted to eat it. I counted 27 little black dots. Each dot was inside its own jelly shell. Let's see if she's right. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. Yup, there's 27. The tank needs to be kept somewhere that is cool and away from direct sunlight. So should they put it in the window? No, they should keep it somewhere cool where the sun doesn't warm it. Every day when I woke up, I went straight downstairs to look at the frog spawn. The little dots grew into bigger dots and then into tiny curls. In a tank, eggs hatch into tadpoles about 10 days after they're laid. So how many days does she have to look at them? 10 days. And one morning I saw the first tadpole wriggling out of its jelly shell. So first it was a dot and then a curl and out comes a tadpole, just wiggling around. At first the tadpoles didn't do so much. They just stayed close to their jelly shells and nibbled at the pondweed. So they're just eating a little bit at the pondweed here. But after 2 or 3 days, they looked quite different. There were feathery things on their heads, and I could see their eyes. They grew these feathery things. The feathery things are called gills, and they're what underwater animals use for breathing. What do you use to breathe? Let's check it out. You have lungs. And the air goes in your nose or mouth, it goes into your lungs. But these tadpoles, they breathe through their gills. They swam very fast. 10 of the eggs didn't ever hatch. The black dots went dull and cloudy, and Mom took them away. So just like seeds don't all grow, not all of the eggs grow. The main reason eggs don't hatch is that they aren't fertilized during mating. So that means that these ones, they didn't get everything they need, so they died. Then we cleaned out the tank and put in fresh pondweed and pond water. One of the tadpoles swam into my hand when I was putting a stone back. It was slippery and slithery and made me jump. After the tadpoles hatch, the pond water needs to be changed at least twice a week. Why do you think they need to change it? Right now it's kind of clean, but after they live in there for a while, they eat and they go to the bathroom in there, so that water gets kind of yucky. So they have to change it, put fresh pond water in there. After a while, I got used to having tadpoles, and I didn't look at them so often. When Mom told me that their little feathery things had disappeared, I didn't believe her. But it was true! Tadpoles have gills on the outside of their bodies at first. Then they grow gills inside their bodies, and the outside ones disappear. So now they look different. I was the one who saw the next change, though. Look! I shouted, and Mom rushed to see. Some of the tadpoles had grown 2 little bumps. Mom said the bumps would grow into back legs. See these little bumps right here? Bump, bump. Those will turn into legs. They grew very quickly. One day there were 2 little bumps. The next day, the bumps were stumps. Bumps and stumps. That's a rhyme. The day after that, they looked almost like real legs. And when the feet unfolded, they were webbed like tiny brownish green fans. So they only have their back legs now. They aren't tadpoles anymore, I said, but they're not quite frogs. They're tadpoles with legs, is what they are. The not quite frogs grew front legs next. And then their tails got shorter and their mouths got wider. Look at that. They're changing. Now they're frogs, Mom said. Baby frogs. But they still can't come out of the water yet. Soon though. Soon the baby frogs were popping up and gulping at the surface of the water. One of them tried to climb onto the stones, but it slid off. Mom said they were getting ready to leave the water. Grown-up frogs breathe air. So when they were tadpoles, they breathed in the water. But now that they're getting older and turning into grown-up frogs, they have to breathe the air like we do. Grown-up frogs breathe air, she said. That's what the stones are for, so our frogs can climb out of the water and breathe. As tadpoles slowly turn into the frogs, they grow lungs for breathing air, and their gills disappear. And now that they're all grown up, what do they have to do with them? Can they keep them forever? Nope, because we read in the beginning, it's very important to return the wild creatures back to their homes. Not long after that, Mom said it was time to take our baby frogs back to live in the pond and with all the other baby frogs. I was sorry to leave them, but Mom said we could come and visit every day. Baby frogs need space to grow and room to hop around. Grown-up frogs live most of their lives on land, returning to their ponds only to breed. That means they only go back to the pond when they're ready to put their eggs in the water. One rainy morning, a week later, Mom woke me up very early. "Hurry," she said, and we ran downstairs and out to the pond. There were hundreds of tiny frogs hopping over the grass. They're looking for dark, wet places to live, Mom said. But they won't go far, and in a couple of years they'll be back to lay frog spawn of their own. Will they be bigger then, I asked. Just a little, said Mom. Good, I said. I like having frogs jumping around, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Isn't that really neat? So a baby frog is not just a teeny tiny frog. A baby frog is actually that swimming little thing called a, do you remember? Starts with a T. A tadpole. So a baby frog first starts out as eggs and then becomes a tadpole. They go through a very, very different change when they grow. Kind of like the way a butterfly starts it as a caterpillar and then changes into a butterfly, right? First it's one thing and it changes into something else. And a frog is a tadpole, then changes into a frog. That, my friends, is called metamorphosis. We don't do metamorphosis because when we're born, we're still people and we grow up to be bigger people. But frogs, they are tadpoles and turn into frogs. So they go through metamorphosis. Friends, thank you for sharing this book with me. I love learning about how things grow. Talk to you later. Bye.